travelers, and monster catchers abound. I'm Stella Ferris, and you have crash landed on the Monster Catchers Journal podcast. Today's episode is about a glyph called Yule Weve. The Amberreed Pastures were quiet that morning, the kind of quiet that feels like the wind is holding its breath. The tall golden stalks swayed in gentle waves as I walked, each one brushing softly against my coat. Somewhere far off, a flock of dusk shimmered birds called to each other, but the field itself felt suspended, like something magical or cool was hiding just beneath the silence. Farmers had been whispering for weeks about a guardian they'd seen wandering the fields. A goat made of woven straw, they said, a spirit of harvest and safety, a creature called Yule Weve. Most stories grow big in the telling, but this one felt different. And then I saw him. Yule Weve stood in the center of the field, tall and gentle, his entire form woven from layers of sun-bleached straw. His body looked like it had been braided by careful hands, strand by strand, until he became a living sculpture of warmth and earth. His horns curled in elegant spirals, thick ropes of straw twisted together, and from his lantern-like eyes glowed a soft amber light. He watched me with a calm, curious stillness. Then the air around him shimmered gently, like heat rising off stone, and a soft ringing followed, and pop, 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 tiny figures burst into existence around his hooves. They were merry sprites, no taller than my palm. Their little bodies were made of straw fibers and petals, tied together by bright flickers of golden magic. They giggled nonstop, bright, jingling giggles that sounded like dozens of tiny silver bells. One sprite floated right up to my face, tapped the tip of my nose, and zipped away laughing. Another tugged at my sleeve. A third leaped onto Gritmeg's gingerbread shoulder and started braiding his icing hair into a tiny warrior braid. Gritmeg stared at me with the expression of someone silently asking, "Why is this happening?" I shrugged helplessly. Yule Weve remained still, patient, as the sprites swirling around him protectively. "I'm not here to hurt you," I told him gently. He blinked, the glow in his eyes flickering like a warm candlelight. For a moment, everything felt peaceful. Then the grass line behind us rustled. A rattle-bark wolf emerged, ribs showing beneath its cracked wooden hide. Its eyes locked onto Yule Weve, a weak, quiet creature made of straw. Must have looked like the easiest meal in the world. Yule Weve stiffened. Fear rippled through his woven body. The wolf crouched. I stepped forward, but Yule Weve acted first. He released a trembling, breathy bleat, and with a sound like bells exploding, 12 merry sprites materialized at once. They zoomed around the wolf in wild spirals, leaving glowing trails that twisted through the air. Light gathered and stretched, weaving itself into a towering illusion, a gigantic straw beast with blazing golden eyes. The wolf skidded back, tail tucked. It gave one frightened yelp and bolted into the reeds as fast as its wooden legs could carry it. The sprites erupted into celebration, spinning and twirling with delightful squeals. Yule Weve took a cautious step forward toward me, lowering his braided head. He nudged my hand softly. The straw was warm. Warm in a way straw should never be. A thank you. One sprite climbed onto my wrist, sat down proudly, and gave me a slow, joyful wave before dissolving into a speck of golden light. One by one, the others faded too, until only the glow of Yule Weve's eyes remained in this quiet field. He turned and walked deeper into the amber reeds, his steps making a soft with every gentle movement. The sunlight glowed on his woven form as he disappeared between the stalks, like he had become part of the harvest itself. and when the wind finally exhaled again, it carried the faint sound of tiny bells. The laughter of Yule Weve's merry sprites echoed softly through the golden sea of grass. For a moment I thought Yule Weve was simply returning to the heart of the Amberreed fields. His braided shape drifted between the tall stalks, straw brushing against straw with a soft whisper. But then he paused. His lantern eyes glanced back at me over his woven shoulder. He let out a low, gentle bleat. I froze. You want me to follow you? He dipped his head once, purposefully. Grytmig tugged on my sleeve, icing brows raised like well, let's go already. So we went. Yule Weve moved slowly, making sure I kept up weaving a winding path through the golden ocean of reeds. The world felt still, warm, almost sacred. After a few minutes, the grass opened into a small clearing, and at the center stood a fruit tree. Its branches were drooping, like under the weight of huge amber-colored fruits. They glowed faintly like lanterns in the afternoon light. Yule Weve looked from the tree to me. You want one, I asked. He nodded. His merry sprites appeared instantly. Pop, 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 hovering around him like impatient children ready for a treat. One bounced excitedly on his horns, another squeaked at me while pointing at the highest branch. All right, I laughed. I'm getting it. The lowest fruit was still too high, but Grytmig knelt down, offering his gingerbread back as a stool. I stepped up, reaching as far as I could, and twisted the glowing fruit free. The moment it came off the branch, a spark of warm light flickered across my fingers. I tossed it down to Yule Weve. He caught it in his teeth, settled comfortably, and began nibbling on it delicately. Straw lips pulling away the glowing skin in soft little strands. The sprites cheered as if he had just performed a miracle. That good? I asked. He gave a happy, muffled bleat through the mouthful of fruit. When he finished, he walked toward me with that same soft determination he'd shown when summoning the sprites. Then he did something I wasn't expecting. He nudged my bag. Hard. What do you... Before I could finish, Yule Weve hooked the corner of the bag with his teeth and tugged it open. His straw nozzle dipped inside, rummaging through the supplies with surprising gentleness, until he found something familiar, a Glyphid. He pulled it out carefully and held it between his woven teeth, staring at me with glowing eyes. I stared back at him. You want to go home with me? Yule Weve stepped closer, pressing the Glyphid against my chest, like he was insisting. Take me with you, I'm ready to go home. I held the Glyphid in both hands. Its surface flickered faintly, sensing the creature who wished to enter it. Yule Weve stood tall, straw horns catching the sunlight, his woven body glowing from within its warm harvest lantern. Or within like a warm harvest lantern. I'm sorry, guys, I keep messing up my story, but hey, I'm here still. But anyways, okay, I breathed. Let's do this together. The sprites all went silent. Yule Weve lowered his head and touched the Glyphid with the center of his forehead. The instant they made contact, the Glyphid pulsed once, twice, and then a swirl of gold magic unspuled from Yule Weve's body. Strand by strand, his braided form unraveled into pure shimmering light, drawn gently into the Glyphid like threads returning to a loom. The merry sprites circled in a soft spiral, guiding the magic inward. One by one, they flickered out too, each slipping into the Glyphid in tiny sparks of joy, and then soft stillness. The Glyphid settled in my hand, warm and glowing with the gentle amber hue I'd never seen before. Yule Weve was inside, safe, calm, and finally where he wanted to be. Grytmig let out a little gingerbread sigh of satisfaction, brushing crumbs off his icing shoulder that went beautifully. I tucked the warm Glyphid carefully into my bag, patting it once. Welcome home, Yule Weve, I whispered. The Glyphid glowed in answer. With Grytmig at my side and carrying a new warmth in my pack, We began walking out of the Amberreed Pastures. The wind brushed the fields behind us, carrying the faintest sound of the tiny bells. Like the merry sprites were saying goodbye to their old home and hello to their new one. Together we headed home. Nibiru was bright as ever when we arrived home, but then again it always is. The two suns hung low, but never dipped, casting a warm golden cross light across the mountains, and above them the three moons hovered like colored lanterns. Crimson, glowing red was one of them. Shimmering green was the second one, and soft dreamy blue was the third one. Their lights overlapped and swirled together, painting the sanctuary grounds in shifting rainbow shadows. Yule Weve's straw body crackled softly as he trotted beside me, his tiny twig hooves clicking on the stone path. Every now and then he conjured a merry sprite, which fluttered in frantic little loops around him like overly excited fireflies made of stardust and hay. Oh yeah, if you guys don't know, I let him out of his Glyphid at that time, because we were almost to the sanctuary, and I knew that he would want to meet all the other glyphs. I pushed open the main door, and the scent of warm herbs and engine oil drifted out. Zena must have been tinkering again, while Luna's wind chimes hummed from the basement stairway. Ignazura, Zena's fiery gem lion, he's a gem lion, lifted his head. His molten eyes narrowed at Yule Weve, then widened in curiosity. Merino lumbered in next, the meerkat rhino hybrid, sniffing sound loudly and huffing in approval before Yule Weve could even greet him. Then came Beak, my golden scarab with the duck-like beak, flaring his shimmering wings casings. His beak clicked sharply. He did not approve. Yule Weve froze. Beak took one dramatic step forward, wings buzzing like an offended hummingbird. The golden glare he gave him could have peeled paint. Zena peeked around the kitchen doorway. "Uh-oh," she whispered. Beak's doing the thing again. But Yule Weve didn't back down. Instead, he summoned a sprite with a tiny leafy wreath, which floated right up to Beak and booped him lightly on the forehead. Beak sputtered. Then, unbelievably, he let out a startled quack and hid behind Myrno. Luna came up from the basement then, wiping rune dust off her hands. "Is it the new guy making Beak nervous?" "Apparently," I said. Yule Weve pranced proudly in a circle, straw bells jingling. The sprite booped Beak, and a second time. Beak hissed, quacked, and flapped away in humiliation. One by one, my glyphs came closer, sniffing and testing the newcomer. Yule Weve let each of them approach, offering a sprite here and there, like friendly tokens. Even grumpy little Arcro, the lightning gecko, rested on his back like he'd known him for years. All the while, the two suns cast long golden stripes across the sanctuary floor, and the three moons' colored glow poured through the high windows. Day and night didn't exist here. Just eternal light and shifting colors. By the time everyone calmed down, Beak was perched on top of a shelf, watching the newcomer with narrowed eyes, but no longer hissing. I stroked Yule Weve's straw mane. "Welcome home," I said. "You're one of us now." He jingled softly in reply, and surrounded by my glyphs, their shadows painted in 5 different celestial colors, we began our night together, even though Nibiru's skies never turned dark. It had been one full Nibiran day since Yule Weve arrived at the sanctuary, though with the 2 suns blazing and the 3 moons, red, green, and blue, glowing above them, it felt the same as always. Eternal brightness, eternal twilight, eternal everything. But despite the unchanged sky, one thing definitely hadn't settled. Or a Beak. My golden scarab was behaving like a wounded cat, and on Nibiru, the closest equivalent would be a spicy cat. Small, dramatic, defensive, and willing to hiss, quack, or at anything that moved. He perched on the highest shelf he could find, his shimmering wings casings puffed up like an angry sunfish. Every time Yule Weve trotted past with his jingly straw hooves, he made this offended little chirp, hiss, quack noise. It sounded like a kettle boiling over while trying to bite someone. Zena walked by him with a bowl of injunberry soup and murmured, "Oh, he's in his I've been betrayed era." Luna nodded solemnly. Classic spicy cat behavior. Meanwhile, Yule Weve was doing his best. He jingled softly at him. He bowed. He even summoned a sprite holding a tiny offering of dried fruit. Beak's response was to flatten his beak. Slow, blinking rage, and turned dramatically away. Ignazurus whispered to Myrno, a little chirping sound. Later, while I was organizing my glyph journal pages, Yule Weve approached his shelf again, gently, carefully, and placed a single straw wreath on the ground below, the universal peace gesture of his species. Beak peeked down, hissed, then peeked again. His wings casings lowered just a little. That was progress for a spicy cat-type creature, or, well, what we consider to be the equivalent of it, which is my golden scarab with a duck beak. I scribbled a note in my journal. "Oh, Nibiru, even the bravest scarabs can't be creatures of pure spicy drama." Yule Weve looked up at him, hopeful as ever. Beak clicked his beak, still distrustful, but not turning away this time. Maybe tomorrow he'd stop acting like someone ate his favorite gemstone snack. Maybe. With the 2 suns painting gold across the sanctuary floor, and the 3 moons washing the walls in red, green, and blue, Yule Weve curled up beside my chair, humming softly, a straw guardian waiting patiently for a friend to forgive him. Beak watched him from his shelf, tiny feet tucked under himself, eyes glowing in a blue light, still spicy, still dramatic, but softening. The next morning, I woke up to the familiar glow of Nibiru's twin suns and the soft, constant light of the 3 moons, red, green, and blue. The sanctuary was bathed in eternal color, sunlight weaving with moonlight into a gentle, ever-shifting tapestry across the floor. The day had only just begun, or, more accurately, it hadn't really ended, but something in the air felt different. I looked down, and my heart melted. There, curled up beside each other on the rug near my chair, were Yule Weve and Beak. Yule Weve's straw body jingled softly as he breathed in rhythm, his lantern-like eyes closed in peaceful sleep. Beside him, Beak had tucked his wings neatly under his golden shell. His duck-like beak rested gently against his braided neck. He had finally stopped hissing, puffing, or glaring. The 2 of them were quiet, soft, and perfectly still, a pair of unlikely companions, now at ease in each other's presence. I knelt down slowly, carefully not to disturb them, a small smile spreading across my face. This is what I was hoping for. Gritmeg shuffled past, stepping lightly over the scene as if not to wake them, while Myrno peeked curiously from Luna's arms. Zena leaned against the wall, eyes soft, a quiet laughter escaping her. I whispered, "Thank you, Yule Weve. Thank you, Beak. And in the eternal glow of Nibiru's two twin suns and 3 moons, I felt an unusual kind of peace wash over me and wash over the sanctuary. For the first time, the home felt complete. Yule Weve and Beak, once weary, once distrustful, were now resting together, sharing warmth. And I knew no matter what adventures came next, this bond would last. The merry sprites twinkled faintly around Yule Weve, settling into soft, glittering loops, as if to celebrate the newfound friendship. I stayed quiet, watching them sleep, feeling deeply grateful that even on a planet where the sky never darkened, there could still be moments of gentle night, like peace. It may not be a story of claws and fury, but it is a story of a gentle straw creature learning to live in my sanctuary, and that is all I can hope for. Until next time, may the glyph's light always protect you.